Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get started in just a minute or two. If you could please work your way to your seats so we can start the program. Thanks.
We start the journey together, but life takes us down many paths. While we all face challenges that push us to grow, many foster kids face these challenges alone. Each year, Treehouse cares for more than 6,000 foster kids. With a passion for education, we help level the playing field. Where others see barriers, we open doors. What we do allows foster kids to have a childhood and a plan for the future. To learn, to play, to heal, to dream. And most importantly, to graduate. Treehouse gives foster kids a childhood and a future.
Ladies and gentlemen, if we can have you all direct your attention to the front for a very special performance.
There was a time and I was alone, nowhere to go and no place to call home. My only friend was the man in the moon, and even sometimes he would go away too. Then one night, as I closed my eyes, I saw a shadow flying high. He came to me with the sweetest smile, told me he wanted to talk for a while. He said, "Peter Pan, that's what they call me. I promise that you'll never be lonely." And ever since that day, I am a lost boy from Neverland, usually hanging out with Peter Pan. And when we're bored, we play in the woods, always on the run from Captain Hook. Run, run, lost boy, they say to me. to lost boys like me, and lost boys like me are free. Neverland is home to lost boys like me, and lost boys like me are free. He sprinkled me in pixie dust and told me to believe in him and believe in me. Together we will fly away in a cloud of green to your beautiful destiny. And ever since that day, I am a lost boy from Neverland, usually hanging out with Peter Pan. And when we're bored, we play in the woods, always on the run from Captain Hook. Run, run, lost boy, they say to me, away from all of reality.
Holy cowie, Anna. Can you believe she's in 8th grade? 8th grade. Great job. All right, well, welcome everybody. We're so glad to have you at Treehouse's Champions for Foster Kids Luncheon. My name is Dave Wilner. I'm a member of the board of directors and one of the co-chairs of this fantastic event. If you haven't surmised by now, we've got an inspirational hour planned for you. Before we start with kind of the body of the program, though, we want to acknowledge a handful of folks that are critical to making this happen for us. The first are your esteemed table captains. It takes It's a lot of work, and it's also difficult to ask your friends, your colleagues, your coworkers for money. And it takes a lot of energy, and it takes a lot of passion. And if you look around the room, the results of that passion are here. 100 tables, over 1,000 people in the middle of a rainy Wednesday. So we're so grateful for the energy and the passion that you bring to the organization. We also want to recognize a handful of elected officials whose leadership has been really important for us over the last couple of years, and we expect into the future for their leadership and guidance. Can you stand, please, and be recognized? Thanks for all the great work that you do for advocating for our kids and for the program.
Good afternoon. My name is Annie Lambroya, and I am the president of the Treehouse Young Professionals Board. It is fantastic to see so many supporters filling this room. It takes the support of a lot of individuals and companies to make an event like this possible, and we want to offer our gratitude to our event sponsors. Because of our sponsors' generous underwriting, every dollar you give today will go directly to Treehouse Services for Kids in Foster Care. Please hold your applause until the end. Sorry about that. Thank you to our superhero sponsors, Costco Wholesale and 180 Foundation. Our media sponsor, Intercom. Our hero sponsors, Lytle Enterprises, Perkins Coie, Wiseman Design Group, and our champion sponsors, Amazon, Columbia Bank, Deloitte, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, KPMG, Nintendo, Starbucks, and all of our challenge sponsors. Thank you.
Well, hello. My name is Sue Anderson, and I'm honored to be co-chairing the luncheon this year. My day job title is Vice President of Network Operations at CenturyLink, but the title I like way more is Fan of Treehouse. I bet a lot of you are fans out there too today. We'd like to thank our Challenge Pool donors who have made early, generous donations and pledges to help make your gifts go even further. Thanks to them, every gift of $300 or more will be matched dollar for dollar. For a one-time gift here today of $25 a month, you can double your impact. For those of us that can stretch even a little further, gifts of $1,000 or more will be matched at 200%. $1,000 from you becomes $3,000 that help youth in foster care. And now it is my honor to introduce the CEO of Treehouse, Janice Avery.
And thanks to Sue. I have to tell you that she had great leadership at CenturyLink and raised $10,000 to kick off our state legislative funding campaign this year, so thank you, Sue. And thank you, Annie, Dave, and Sue. We're so grateful for your leadership for this event, your dedication to youth in foster care. Please join me in a round of applause to thank them for being chairs. I've just been hugging lots of you at the door, and it is just my supreme pleasure to have so many old friends and new in the room today. Thank you for sharing your lunch hour with us. Almost 14 years ago, 2 Treehouse board members who worked at the Leisure Care Company started an annual pajama drive. The company then founded a corporate foundation called 180 Foundation. Those new trustees were inspired by our ambitious goal that youth in foster care in King County graduate at the same rate as their peers with a plan for their future by 2017. They wanted to make an immediate and long-term impact for children and decided to invest, committing $250,000 over a 5-year period, which fortified this innovative new endeavor to change the outcome trajectories for youth and foster care. So I am so pleased today to say thank you to the 180 Foundation and Leisure Care employees for believing in us from the start. We could not be here without your bold trust, and I am just delighted to thank Dan Mattson. Thank you. Treehouse could not help foster kids in the extraordinary and powerful way we do without partners that make a lasting impact on the youth the Treehouse serves, like 180 Foundation and countless others. Today we want to recognize 3 who've gone above and beyond. We are proud to honor our long-standing partnership with Price Waterhouse Coopers with the Corporate Partner Award. PwC supports youth in foster care in so very many ways. They regularly host donation drives to fill the warehouse. They volunteer to sort clothes and stock the store. They offer pro bono services and have sponsored fundraising events. Since 2009, they volunteered 650 hours. 4 of their staff serve on our boards: Afshin Valji, Sean Torcasi, Megan King, and Suzanne Greer. Just this year, through company efforts, they donated $12,500. So I give thanks to all of the employees at PwC for making foster youth a priority for them. Thank you all. Next, our Community Partner Award to the staff and student body of Sacred Heart School. For more than 15 years, Sacred Heart School has supported youth in foster care with their annual shoe drive. Every December, students kindergarten through 8th grade select a pair of shoes in their size and preferred style that they'd like to donate to a kid in foster care, and they collect an astounding 400 pairs of shoes every year. During Mass, each student brings their shoes to the altar for Father Salas to bless. Kids helping kids, what a wonderful way to connect students to what it might be like to walk in another person's shoes. Thank you, Principal Burrows and all the students and staff of Sacred Heart for supporting youth in foster care. Last but certainly not least, we would like to present the Wendy Walters Truitt Volunteer of the Year Award. Wendy's here in the room. To a beloved, longtime warehouse volunteer, Ann Huber. Ann has a long history at Treehouse, both as a caregiver and a volunteer. Over 7 years, she's contributed over 8,000 volunteer hours like a full-time staff person and made countless improvements to our free store, the Warehouse. At Treehouse, she's regarded as the ultimate knowledge source on infant and toddler items, running that department from start to finish. It's no small feat to manage a department that has more sizes than the whole rest of the store combined, plus all of the accoutrement that comes with little ones. She even pioneered a back-stocking system that's vastly improved the efficiency and space management. Ann is an endless source of wisdom, creativity, and innovation, and a true champion for youth and foster care. Thank you, Ann Huber. Thank you for acknowledging all these wonderful champions for foster kids as they leave the stage. A year after I joined Treehouse in 1995, I became a mom to Amber and Daryl, 6- and 4-year-old siblings in foster care. My wife Mary's a school psychologist and I'm a social worker. Because of our formal education and training, we knew we were well prepared for the journey ahead. Little did we know this would be life's most difficult and rewarding work. At our 20th anniversary as a family, we decided to write a letter to our now 25 and 26-year-old children that I'd like to share with you, because these have been powerful years for us, and this anniversary encouraged a moment to reflect on all of our strengths and to express gratitude for the ways our children have helped us grow. To Amber, you have been opinionated, fierce, and determined since we met you. Those characteristics led you to freely express your creativity in arts and talent shows and take leadership positions at church and Girl Scouts. You have always gravitated towards supporting others who are outsiders and who felt less understood. Who you've become is a true reflection of our values, and we could not be more proud. You entered our life carrying a load of grief and responsibility. We had no idea how to help you. We sought lots of help outside and found very little tremendously useful. At 16, you ran away from home and school. While plenty painful, your leaving was no surprise once we honestly connected the dots. The surprise came with your incredible resiliency and determination. You are like a phoenix emerging from that experience, a stronger and more connected person. You've taught us the most valuable lesson of all. Never give up on anyone. Change is always possible. Your return to a more conventional life and your ambition for the future are absolutely uncommon among those who've lived on the street for any period of time. To select a career still dominated and defined by men, insist that you be admitted to the program, deter all flirting and advances in class and workplace, and excel as the most talented automotive tech to graduate from Shoreline. Wow. Your continued ambition to achieve efficiency in your hours, finish your associate's degree, and become a Toyota Master Technician are awe-inspiring, and I know you will continue to amaze us. To Daryl, your brain became wired for danger early in your life. During the first few years of living with us, you vigilantly collected sharp objects to keep in your pocket, just in case an assailant was around the corner. We took a strength-based approach and enrolled you in Aikido for self-defense. When teachers at school confronted you about not following instructions, an everyday occurrence, you tried to run away and hide. We insisted on accommodations, that they provide a safe place for you to run to. Well into late adolescence, you behaved unpredictably, living in fear of what was never quite clear. Yet from the beginning, your loving disposition shined through to us. You loved to snuggle in a lap, to listen to a story, or engage in some fantasy play, exhibiting your enormous creativity. You gave and received love easily, making it all the easier for us to love you despite sometimes erratic and combative behavior. Today, you are filled with determination and grit. I love that you set goals and work to achieve them. You earned a brown belt in Aikido, entering the dojo with little prior athletic experience or discipline, and yet accomplished more than most students. You practiced and trained several times a week for years to achieve this award. Think about how you responded when you didn't pass the 10th grade math WASL. You were far from being alone, some others. Around half failed, most without the early challenges you had. You struggled with the impact of early trauma, which led to an individual education plan. Very few students with IEPs met standards then or now. Unlike those who failed, you took a makeup class the next year, practiced, prepared, and earned proficiency, a requirement to graduate from high school. You're the first in several generations of your family to graduate, and we are so, so proud of you. Now you're focused on the future, working as a security guard where you were recently promoted. We believe you can accomplish anything you set your mind to. Amber and Daryl, I have been blessed beyond measure by being your parent, and I thank you for your contribution to my life. So as we wrote this letter, I thought about my lived experience and how it is reflected in my work as CEO of Treehouse. Becoming a mom changed me forever and taught me so, so much. I learned that formal services are important, but services alone seldom make the difference we hope that they will. I learned that family time is more important than any special event. I learned there's nothing extra in extracurricular activities. Opportunities to do things that interest a kid, to take risks, to make friends, to establish community are needs for every child. Neither of my kids responded as I expected, so I learned to have fewer specific expectations and to be fiercely optimistic. I'm grateful for my parenting journey because it made me a better leader for youth in foster care. I'm immensely proud of the work we do at Treehouse. We balance pragmatic, evidence-based services with our heartfelt concern for every youth in foster care. Today you'll hear from inspirational staff and youth about the impact we're making. I invite you to consider how you can invest in the promise of every child, because every child has promise. Together, we give youth in foster care a childhood and a future. I want to thank you for joining us on this journey and listening today. And now I am privileged to welcome Angela Griffin and introduce her as our Associate Director of Education Programs and Services. She'll share some of the work we do and some of the progress we're making. So please welcome Angela.
Thank you, Janice. You are such an inspirational leader. I learn from you every single day. Thank you. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I am so excited to be here to share with you about the great work we're doing at Treehouse. I love a call and response, so raise your hand if this is your first time attending a Treehouse event. Oh, man. Wow, welcome, welcome, everyone. And a special thank you for those of you who are joining us again and are part of our longtime Treehouse family. Let me tell you a little bit about our organization. Treehouse was founded almost 30 years ago by social workers who were frustrated by the limitations of state resources. They wanted to do more for kids on their caseload, like provide backpacks for the first day of school and a warm winter coat, or pay for summer camp and dance lessons. You know, all of those extracurricular activities that aren't really extra at all, but rather fundamental to the social emotional development and academic success for all children. And that's how our first program, Little Wishes, was begun. Imagine your children, or even yourself as a kid, growing up without playing on a sports team, or playing in the school band, or taking a dance class. Activities that spark creativity and camaraderie are essential for all kids. Through Little Wishes, 1,300 kids get to do just that every year. Today, you will hear from a dynamic group of youth speakers about the positive influence these activities have had on their lives. Many of our kids enter foster care wearing just the clothes on their backs, or with a garbage bag filled with every possession they own. So at our free store, The Warehouse, more than 1,900 youth receive more than 100,000 items each year. That is a powerful impact. The Warehouse is also a tremendous resource for foster parents and relative caregivers who receive only a modest stipend with very little left over to pay for any extras. We just remodeled the Warehouse store thanks to some amazing volunteers, funders, and partners all coming together. Teenagers even think it looks cool. If you haven't seen it in person, I invite you to come for a tour. So we also have a long history of providing meaningful resources for youth in foster care through our statewide educational advocacy program. For over nearly 15 years, we have successfully built the capacity for people who are instrumental in eliminating barriers for youth in foster care. Our youth have a long list of people involved in their lives: caregivers, social workers, therapists, educators, lawyers, and so on. Child welfare's priority is ensuring that youth are safe and on a road to a permanent placement. Addressing the educational needs of youth in foster care sometimes is not at the top of their priority, especially when they are overburdened. That's where Treehouse comes in. When you think about how the average youth in foster care changes placements 3 times, and with each move they lose 4 to 6 months of academic progress, it's not hard to understand why they would fall behind their peers on every educational measure. Treehouse is uniquely placed between school and child welfare systems and deeply committed to improving the educational outcomes for youth in foster care. Sometimes people ask, why do we do this? Fewer than half of foster youth graduate from high school on time. And when they don't graduate, there is a direct line to some pretty dire outcomes: poverty, unemployment, incarceration. In fact, a recent City of Seattle survey found that 23% of homeless people in Seattle were once in foster care. I could talk to you about all the money we could collectively save when we invest in these kids early. But what I really wish I could share is every single one of their stories and the shining potential we see in every one of them every day. Kids come into foster care at no fault of their own, and they deserve every opportunity to graduate and go on to live happy and productive lives. So with your investment today, they will. When foster youth engage in our graduation success program, they partner with an education specialist. Our education specialists really care. They care about the relationships they hold with their youth and are incredibly passionate about helping them achieve their goals despite all the odds stacked against them. They meet weekly to talk with their youth about attendance, behavior, and grades so they can stay on track with their goals and work towards graduating from high school. Education specialists coordinate all the other supports Treehouse can provide: extracurricular and school activities, job shadow experiences, tutoring, and material needs, which motivate our youth and help support them with their students and their planned goals. They partner with caregivers, social workers, teachers, school counselors, and many others to wrap a team of support around each youth. Most of you have heard mention of our ambitious 5-year goal. Actually, I think Janice said something about it today. So we are on the 5th year of that goal, the final year of that goal. But like earning a high school diploma, this is only the beginning of the journey. Imagine what it takes to graduate when you are experiencing so much trauma and loss, so many moves and changes in schools. To graduate demonstrates incredible commitment and persistence. I am proud to tell you that 64% of the class of 2016 graduated on time. And I'm not finished. 89% of those graduates plan to enroll in college or vocational training. But I have some more for you. Here is the real Treehouse magic. Of those youth who didn't graduate, over 80% of them had a plan for completion. In fact, since last June, 9 more of those courageous, resilient kids from our class of 2016 have graduated. So as you can see, we have become experts at convincing youth to stay the course and earn their diploma. We are thrilled that our Treehouse class of 2015 had an extended 5-year graduation rate of 82%, which is equal to the extended graduation rate of their peers statewide, and 31 points better than foster youth across the state. So there are many of you who may be wondering if we could achieve this. There were many who wondered if we could achieve this goal, and some days I wondered myself. But over the past 5 years, our Graduation Success Program has helped over 200 youth in foster care graduate from high school with a plan for the future. Recently, we surveyed a group of Treehouse alumni who told us they wish their education specialists would stay with them longer. They would like for them to continue to help them with their post-high school plan, and that is exactly what we plan to do. We know the longer we stay with kids, the better their outcomes. My son is a freshman in college, and I can't imagine having sent him off without a strong support system in place. Many of the youth at Treehouse are served by us, and we are that strong support system. So here's what we're committed to working towards next: deepening and improving our service delivery every day, intentionally supporting our youth to persist and graduate, even when it takes 5 or 6 years, serving kids longer as they transition into their post-high school plan, expanding graduation success statewide to meet youth where they are, and continuing to build strong alliances that support the best outcomes for youth in foster care. Today is your opportunity to join Treehouse in changing the trajectory for youth in foster care. I know you'll be moved and inspired by the next group of speakers that are coming up. So I want to introduce you to the first one, Ishmael. Join me in welcoming Ishmael.
How's it going, everybody? My name is Ishmael Simpson. It's truly an honor to speak in front of you guys today. I'm gonna talk about how it was when I first started working with Treehouse. I was 12 years old, and I just had this big tragedy in my life. I lost both of my parents, and I got enrolled in school in Seattle, and I got plugged in with Treehouse, and I was in foster care living with my grandmother, and I had a social worker that I had to meet up with and catch up on like every month. We changed social workers every month almost, at least it felt that way back then. And I was just like, all the trauma that I've been through in my childhood made it really hard for me to stay in the books. I started getting in trouble, started hanging out with the bad kids, and even though I was getting carried away with all the exterior stuff, like Treehouse have always been like a consistent in my life. It started like early. Like my grandma wanted me to play basketball and football because kids were doing that in my neighborhood, and I was like down the street from Rainier Playfield, and so I started playing football. Treehouse paid for my cleats and all my gear and everything, and it was like really awesome. And that like kind of helped me like meet kids as soon as I got to Seattle. I was going to middle school, and like kids on my team were at my school. I had classes with them. I started to build friend groups, and but I still just was so mad at like what was going on with me. Like I just couldn't deal with the cards that were dealt to me. And so I just kept getting in trouble, and eventually I had to move schools, and I moved up north, and I started playing basketball. So I went from football to basketball, and Treehouse was still there. Basketball shoes, all the things I needed to be on the team was all done. At this time, I kind of had like a regular social worker, so things were kind of mellowing out. And again and again, it was just like me struggling to like stay in the books because it was just so hard to cope with all the things. And around this time, it was early in high school. Drugs and alcohol started to be a big problem for me. High school basketball, so that was really good. I was down at Roosevelt playing ball, was fun, but the issue was chemicals, and so I get kicked out. I have a social worker, and I'm like doing all the work. And I didn't just get kicked out of school. I got kicked out of like foster homes. So at this point, I'm moving like 30-day placement, just like typical foster care stuff, group homes, foster homes, like whatever it is, suitable adult placement. I didn't really have a place I can call home, so that just led to more stress and more anxiety and like less caring to be in the books. It got really bad summer of 2015, I want to say. I wasn't in school. I was just feeling really bad, and I reached out to my educational specialist at the time, and Leah's mine now, Alexa at the time, and it was just awesome. And I told her what my spill was. I was like, "Yo, I want to get back in school. I want to clean up." And she was like, "All right." We met at Starbucks by Roosevelt, and she brought this paper and was like, "We're gonna do a 1-year goal and a 3-year goal." And I remember the 1-year goal. I was like, 1 year. I was like, and it sounded just like a fairy tale at the point. I was like, I want to be 1 year sober, abstinence from all mind-altering substances, and I want to be graduated. And I said it because like I wanted to believe it, but like I wasn't really sure. And she's like, yep. She took it and ran with it. She was like, so let's pull up this transcript. You're like a sophomore, and you should be graduating this year, so it's going to be rough. It's not going to be easy. And I was like, yep. I was like, I'm down. And so we started looking up schools. And there's a school in Queen Anne that was based around recovery. It was an interagency school, and it was really good. And so I just like started doing that, just grinded every single day, graduated on time. I graduated like that year and met my goal. And I'm coming up on 2 years sober. I got After that, I got a full ride at Green River, and and I was going to pursue aviation, and I later realized that I wanted to do something else. I want to do chemical dependency because that's what I'm more passionate about. Fortunately, I have a peer that's pursuing aviation, so he's going to tell you all about it. And so yeah, I'm doing art, music, and pursuing my chemical dependency, and life is really good. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. Oh man, I have to say I'm so nervous, but I'll try. Okay. Hi, my name is Fidel Chishungu, and I came to America when I was 13 years old. I live in Bukavu, a city in the Congo near Rwanda, with my parents and 6 siblings. Growing up there was a lot of gunfire around us. I remember playing with bullets because they were all over the ground. My father was a police officer. When he was at work, we worried about his safety because it is a very corrupt system there. In 2009, my family attempted to flee the war, but we were stopped at the border. Our parents were taken and forced to serve in the military. My sibling and I had to care for ourselves. My older sister, Bernice, was just a teenager. Our youngest siblings, Abigail, was only 2. We ended up in a refugee camp and then relocated to Kenya, where the United Nations helped us until we moved to America. My siblings and I have always looked out for each other. We came to the United States with one suitcase between 7 of us. Lutheran Community Services placed us in a shoreline with a Congolese foster parent. She helped us adjust to life in America. For the first 2 years, the language barrier was one of the toughest things that I had to overcome. All the newness of being in America was overwhelming. Treehouse has always helped us. We shopped in the warehouse for clothes and school supplies. Having new and fashionable clothes helped us fit in. I got my first brand new pair of shoes there. They were Skechers. Yeah. In the Congo, my schooling was inconsistent, so I was excited to go to school in America. Since the 7th grade, Treehouse has helped me academically, and I worked with my education specialist, Shelby, to keep on track with my schoolwork. Shelby helped me apply for a Teens in Public Service internship where I got to work at Northwest Harvest. It was my first job experience and taught me about responsibility and working with people. I even won an award for most inspiring intern. Thank you. I participated in Harvard for 2 years and then did running start so I could graduate early. Shelby helped me along the way and always encouraged me. Treehouse Little Wishes program helped pay for my sports fees and uniforms. I ran cross country and track and was on the wrestling team. I made varsity my first year in wrestling and participated in statewide competitions. Participating in sports was a new experience for me. Being a part of a team helped me make friends and learn English. Ever since I was a young boy, I was always loved the planes. When I was 15 years old, I boarded our shuttle bus that took us every day from our foster home to school, carrying a toy helicopter for school project. Richard, the bus driver, asked me about it. He told me he and his wife had an airplane. Over the years that Richard drove us, we got to know each other, and when I was 16, he invited me to fly in his plane. He asked me if I could help him with projects around his house, and in exchange, he and his wife Maureen let me use their plane and pay for my flying lessons and the fuel, which cost lots of money. Richard is here today, is right there, and Richard, stand up. Yes. Thank you. Richard, thank you so much for giving me all the guidance over the years and always helping me throughout my journey of becoming a pilot and also the daily life, I always count on you, and every time whenever I think of anyone to call, you're always the first one in mind. And thank you for always being there for me. Yes. I also want to say thank you to Treehouse for helping me become who I am today. Treehouse has always helped me since 7th grade, and I don't know how I'll be without their help. Everything that I ever wish to do or ever want to put myself into, when it comes to paying or support, they're always there. And there's just no way. There's no enough word I can describe how grateful I am for them and how much stuff they've been doing for me and my family and just everyone. Thank you, Treehouse. I also don't want to leave behind my education specialist, Shelby and Sherry. They've been there for me since I got to United States, and they're always supporting me. Thank you so much, guys. Because of Treehouse, I am closer to my goal of becoming a commercial pilot. The Little Voices program has helped me pay for my flying lessons. They also helped me get into Ever Community College, where I'm studying aviation maintenance technology. Even though I am in college, I still meet with my education specialist, Sherry, who is here, and she helped me set goals and stay on track with my schooling. I'm very focused on my future and know that going to school will get me where I want to go. I have high expectations for myself, and I don't want to be like everyone else. Becoming a pilot to me means I am successful and have made something of myself. I don't want to throw away the opportunities that was given to me by coming to America. I will not let my past define my future. When I'm older and ask what I did with my life, I can say I made something of myself. And thank you guys for always supporting Treehouse. You guys made really big impact throughout our life, and thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Victoria and I am a sophomore at Thomas Jefferson High School in Auburn. I guess I'll start from the beginning. When I was 4, my family, my mom, dad, older brother Joey, and twin sister Stephanie moved from Chicago to Seattle. On the way here, our car broke down. We had to leave most of our belongings so we could travel the rest of the way by bus. I remember my favorite toy, a crawly Mickey Mouse, one of the possessions I couldn't bring with me. I cried and cried. I loved that toy so much. But we were all together, and that's what mattered the most. When I was 6, my father was deported to Mexico. I remember touching the glass that separated us as we all cried. 9 years later, we still don't know where he is or if he is okay. It was hard for my mom on her own with us kids. For a little while, we lived with a friend from our church. But when she passed away, we had to find a new place to live. My mom started dating Daryl. He was abusive to her and to us and got my mom hooked on drugs. When Daryl left, my mom started working at a strip club to earn money and was still using drugs. Sometimes she'd be gone for a month at a time, leaving us, me and my sister, in the care of my older brother, Joey. He's only 5 years older than us, and there was a lot of responsibility for him. While my mom was gone, we didn't want to go to school, but Joey would make us. When we would miss the bus, he would walk us to school. I don't remember the distance, it just felt like a really far journey. I would think, I am never going to miss the bus again. Joey wouldn't always make it to school himself because he was taking care of us. He'd leave early to meet us after school, which meant he didn't get to play football or baseball, which he loved. We had to steal food to survive. My sister would cook. She wants to be a chef. We did the best we could to get by on our own. When I was 10, the police came to our house. We found out later that my mom asked a friend to call the cops so that we could be taken into foster care. She didn't want us to see her high and knew she couldn't take care of us. The 3 of us were moved to a foster home where me and my sister have lived ever since. Because of the choices Joey was making, he didn't live with us for very long and spent some time in juvie and a group home. My sister and I stayed in touch with him, even though he lives in Kansas now. We are grateful for how he took care of us when he was just a kid himself. Stephanie and I were just adopted by our foster parents, Lanita and Michael. I can't imagine being separated from my sister, and I am glad we were able to stay together. At our quinceañera, Stephanie gave me the best present. She found the same crawly Mickey Mouse toy I had to leave behind when we were little. Having someone who knows you like that is so important. My life experiences have shaped who I am. I probably wouldn't be in school and striving for success if I hadn't been placed with my adopted parents. Growing up, my birth mom would tell me I couldn't do things, like play sports or really anything I wanted to do in life. I grew up thinking I wasn't capable of much. But when I moved in with Lanita, she signed me up for cross country. I remember telling her, I can't do that. But she insisted and drove me to my first practice and made sure I stayed. I hated it, but we had a rule in the house. We finish what we start. Then she signed me up for gymnastics, and I thought, I can't do that. But the voice wasn't as loud because I knew I had someone who believed in me. I was starting to believe I can do a lot of things. When I met my Treehouse education specialist, Abby, she had heard from my adopted mom that I didn't easily trust people. I remember at our first meeting, she told me, I'm going to work my way to earn your trust. She built a bridge with consistency. Every week she showed up to meet with me. Her actions spoke louder than her words. And I started to think, this lady might be serious. Abby is my homegirl, my counselor, and kind of like my older sister. I can tell her anything. She holds me accountable and encourages me. Every week, we meet to talk about life, and we set goals. Last year, I was having a hard time turning in all of my assignments. I wasn't doing my homework because I was distracted hanging out with friends. I told her I needed to make a time to focus on my schoolwork because I wanted to get all A's and B's. Abby offered to email me every night to remind me to get off my tablet and do my homework. So every night she sent the email, and eventually I started paying attention. By the end of the semester, my grades went up. One of my long-term goals is to become a nurse, so I can help kids. I know it's a hard thing to accomplish, but I like having to work towards something not everyone else can achieve. Treehouse has been supporting me and my sister since we came into foster care. We shopped in the warehouse for clothes and school supplies. Little Wishes has paid for my sports fees. They even paid for me to attend a cross-country invitational at Stanford for 4 days with my team. The trip inspired me to reach for even higher goals. I was able to bond with my teammates too. It was the experience of a lifetime, and I can't thank Treehouse enough. I run cross-country and track. State is a huge goal for me in every sport I do. Over 100 girls competed to qualify for state last year. I remember how the coaches encouraged me and how I didn't want to disappoint anyone. On the day of the competition, as I was running the race, my coaches was running alongside the route, supporting me. He started yelling 64, which was our code for telling me that I was in 54th place. Only 54 girls could qualify. I kicked it into high gear and pushed through the other runners to get ahead. I looked at my coach and a big smile came across my face because I knew I could make it. I sprinted the last 800 and finished 48th. I started crying when I crossed the finish line. I realized I can do anything. I had finally proven my birth mom wrong. People all along the track of my life have encouraged me. My sister and brother, Lanita and Michael, Abby, my coaches, and Treehouse. They are all saying, you can do this, and I believe them. Thank you for being here today and supporting Treehouse and youth like me.
There we are. Whew, I have to collect myself after that. Hi.
Hi, I'm Skylar, and this is also Skylar. She is my Treehouse education specialist, and we've been working together for 2.5 years.
We've been through a lot.
I went into foster care when I was 9, so for the past 10 years, Treehouse has been there for me. I've shopped in the warehouse for clothes, for school supplies. Little Wishes has paid for my yearbooks and even sent me to summer camp.
Oh my God.
Academically, Treehouse has been a support system through the years. As a kid, I spent summers at the Treehouse Academy. I'd like to say sorry for Christian and Sam for being such a handful. They, they work at Treehouse and they're in the crowd today.
I remember when I became your ed specialist. You were not thrilled about it. You were about to be a senior, and you already had so many adults in your life. I don't think you wanted another nagging mom figure telling you to get it together.
Nope.
We had a lot of very surfacey conversations about grades and college, and I knew you didn't want to be there and just said what I wanted to hear. Sometimes you didn't even show up for our meetings.
Actually, I was hiding from you in the building.
Didn't know that. But then your life blew up. In the course of a couple of weeks, you lost a lot. Your school, your placement, your friends, and your chance to graduate on time.
I was skipping a lot of class, and I got suspended a few times. My caregiver was fed up with me, and my social worker didn't know what to do with me.
Your team set a meeting about it. You didn't show up.
I didn't want to sit there and have them tell me I was a horrible person. Why not make me help me progress? But that's what you're here for. You've done that every day.
Aw. I did go to that meeting, and everyone who was supposed to know you and help you talked about you like you were a problem to fix. I asked them to wait so I could go find you in the hallway.
I didn't want to really talk to anybody, but she was just too nice.
After we talked for a bit, I realized this is just a kid that is hurt and having a terrible, terrible day. From that day on, our relationship shifted, and I just kept coming to find you. He can't get rid of me if he tries.
She means that. I've attended 5 different high schools in the last 6 years.
I'm pretty sure that since we've known each other, you've moved 7 times.
There's been so many moves, I don't even remember how many placements I've had over the years. Sometimes foster homes, sometimes couch surfing, and sometimes staying outside.
Based on all that, you would have had 6 different education specialists if I hadn't insisted on following you. It's been a very hard 2.5 years.
I've always wanted to graduate from high school, and when I do, I'll be the first in my family to get my diploma. I made a lot of decisions based on my emotions instead of thinking. I let my feelings get the best of me without thinking of their outcome. That led to me moving and not being able to attend school, which has led me to repeating my senior year for a 3rd time.
You move forward and back. Last spring, you were doing really well, and we jumped on that momentum and made an incentive plan to help you get to prom.
Yeah, I really wanted to impress the school, so for every hour I successfully participated in a school day, I earned $5. I got a $40 gift card to Safeway so I can buy food and make dinner for my prom date. I made a chicken Alfredo, and Treehouse rented me a tux.
You look so good.
Yeah.
Skylar and I have a unique relationship.
Yeah, she's mean to me.
What do you mean I'm mean?
You demand I accomplish things with my life. You're basically my mom. Most people would have given up on me, but you haven't.
I have high expectations. I'm proud of you for sticking with your goal. You've had a revolving door of people in your life, and every time you have moved, my role in your life changed. I'm glad you let me stick around.
You stuck around long enough to see me get back into high school at iGrad. If I take 2 classes a month from now until June, I will graduate, and that's my current goal. And then I'll go to culinary school because I want to become a chef and travel the world and learn how to cook different cuisines.
If that's the case, I'm definitely going to keep following you. I'm excited to see where we go. Thank you for listening. I'm not sure if you can tell, but it means an awful lot to me to be Skylar's champion. As I have with Skylar, each education specialist around the room brings their own unique creativity, optimism, and love to the task of keeping our students engaged. Treehouse fulfills its commitment to equity through these relationships. So long as they stick with us, we meet our youth where they are at with whatever it takes until they succeed on their own terms. Right now is your opportunity to join us as champions for the sustained support of these 7,000 youth Treehouse serves, like Skylar, Victoria, Fidel, Ish, and Ayana. I bet many of you came to today's luncheon with an idea of how much you wanted to give. We hope you have been moved to give generously.
For every donation received today will go directly to youth like me. Gifts over 300 will be doubled, and gifts over 1,000 will be tripled. Thanks to the challenge pool.
Thank you from all of us at Treehouse for your generosity and caring, and your commitment to supporting youth in foster care. Table captains, you can pass out your cards.